What's going on, everyone? For those of you who don't know, I was just featured on an episode of History Channel's Forge and Fire. It was an incredible opportunity, and I can't wait to go more in depth about my experience with you guys. Now, if you don't want any spoilers, now's the time to go watch the episode and come back because there's gonna be some spoilers. Looking at the title of this video, I'm gonna assume you can guess what I'm gonna do here, and that is redeem myself. I didn't make it all the way through. I ended up having some cracking towards the spine of my blade that I thought I fixed, but it wasn't good enough and ultimately sent me home. Today, I'm gonna be recreating the exact challenge that I had on the show, which is a little bit different from the majority of the episodes. Thankfully, I didn't have to make Damascus or do any pattern welds or anything like that, but I did have to make a friction folder, and that definitely was a curveball. So I'm gonna go ahead and recreate the challenge round 1 and 2 here in my home forge, and I hope to get some redemption out of this, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts. All right, now obviously this is gonna be a little bit different. I am in the comfort of my own home forge. I've got my own tools, and I'm not standing next to 4 raging forges in a room that's well over 100 degrees. So it's gonna be a little bit easier in that sense. Now what evens that out is I don't have a power hammer. I'm also gonna be filming myself, which, picking up the camera, moving it back and forth, talking to you guys. That's definitely gonna be a bit of a burden for me in this challenge. But I'm also fortunate enough to be able to plan out exactly what I'm gonna do because I know what I'm gonna be making. There's no element of surprise, really. So I can't really say if this is gonna be easier or harder, but I know that it definitely is gonna be a challenge because I am not a fast worker. I am a thorough worker and a hard worker, just like every other smith that's ever been on the show. I mean, quality comes before quantity, and people are gonna take their time. 3 hours is nothing when it comes to creating a knife or a sword. But the challenge is fun, and it's definitely entertaining. Overall, it was a crazy learning experience. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the clock for 3 hours. Believe me or not, but I'm gonna go by the clock, and I'm sure I'm gonna be a sweaty mess in 3 hours, but let's do it. All right, so this is the design that I'm going with. On the show, you get a 10-minute design period. I definitely took more than 10 minutes to design this, but whatever. So the most difficult part about a friction folder, in my opinion, is lining up the pivot point. So when that blade opens and closes, it needs to be able to, sit tightly with friction, and you need to make sure that that blade's not sticking out the back of your handle. So you also want to have enough tang to where when it's open, you can hold it with the handle and it'll stay open for you. So it definitely takes more than a few minutes to really kind of figure out exactly what design is going to work for you. And in my case and in our case on the show, they're telling us what challenges that the blade's going to go through, and we have to design it based off those challenges. So I also forgot to mention that we do have parameters that we're going off of for this. Blade width it's got to be over 1 3/4 inches from what I remember. Length of the blade itself has to be between, I think, 11 and 13, and the tang past the pivot point, I want to say 5 to 6 inches, and no longer than 21 inches in total. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my best to go off of those parameters. All right, forge is running, and we're starting the clock for 3 hours and 0 minutes. And there we go, and you can see the time. It's 7:12 p.m. All right, it's gonna take a little bit for this forge to run up. I'm gonna go ahead and cut up the steel. What I'm using here is leaf spring. This is the same steel we were working with on the show. We cut up an old Chevy pickup truck. We're using the leaf spring. Piece cut, we got it in the forge, got 2:55 on the clock. Feeling good right now. I'm gonna try to drink as much water as I can, stay hydrated, and fight through this challenge. Alright, so I got that tang to about a good size to hold with the tongs. A little bit of a cold chuck going on, but I'm not using that piece anyway. filming definitely takes a huge toll, that's for sure. That's for sure. Filming is difficult. Steel to a pretty good thickness. I'm just gonna go ahead and get it nice and smooth and make sure that I've got enough length to work with in the tang before I cut any more off. Alright, I'm sitting somewhere between 1/4 inch and 3/16, and I've got a slight taper going down to the point. So I'm actually gonna get that point shaped and get this blade straightened out. We got enough meat back here for the pivot point and for the tang to be drawn out. So I'm gonna work on that right now. All right, camera battery died and my tank is freezing up. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap my tank. Yeah, it's like snow on here. Frozen. Alright, let's check the time. Alright, we are at 1 hour 57. This is insane. So, I forgot, I have to do the, I have to pound the hole in for the pivot point. All right, Ford is going back now. Now, a lot of people would drill holes. I drill holes all the time. I don't have a whole lot of sharp drill bits on hand. I'm gonna go ahead and punch this one. I'm using a 1/4 inch punch that I've undersized just a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and punch that and then I'll step it up with a 1/4 inch drill bit. That way everything's nice and tight on the 1/4 inch pin during round 2. All right, on to grinding. I do have a homemade 2x72. It's not anywhere near as great as the TW90 grinders that we were using, so not gonna be able to hog material off as fast, but you know, I've got just about an hour. Oh, great, okay, so I have an hour and 14 minutes left, and you can see the time, if it'll focus. pretty good. Just working on hogging as much material off as I can. I'm officially under an hour. I've got 55 minutes left. All right, I just had to clear my memory card. I was out of space. So now we are down to, let me unlock my phone, 33:50. So hope that focuses. You can see the time up above is 9:39. We started at 7:15 or something like that. So this is what we got now. Ooh, it's a little hot, but you see we're pretty close to our design. And I'm just removing all this material, making sure that this is nice and smooth because it's a friction folder, and I want to make sure that that pivot is nice and smooth. God, we're riding like just above 3/16 right here, tapering down to the tip and down to the tang. So I'm hoping that that helps create a little bit more control with the folding, and you know, we're looking pretty good. This is our original design. We strayed a little bit from it, but for the most part, this is actually pretty close. Wow, that's actually really close. The tang's a little bit longer. Our parameters were a blade that was between 11 and 13 inches. This is upside down for you, but I guess I'll call that the end of the blade. We're sitting right over 12. And then a blade tang from the pivot point to the end between 5 and 6 inches. That's what I remember shooting for. I'm pretty sure we're allowed to go a little bit longer. Right now I'm at 6.5. So I don't think that tang's actually over parameter. I think that the 5 to 6 inches may have been the minimum, because my overall length is sitting at, ooh, it's right at 21. Dead on 21. So maybe I'll shape a little bit of that tang off just to play it safe. I think the overall length maximum parameter was 21 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this tang just a ½ inch, get me down to 6 inches, and I think we're good. So while that forge heats up, I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up to a higher grit. 23 minutes left. I'm gonna get this up to about 100 grit and move over to the forge. Naturally, just let it air cool. And this helps to equalize the grain structure, prevent any cracking or warping in the future. This is a big blade. Just holding it here, it's starting to warp. So after my normalizing, I'm gonna make sure to go ahead and get this nice and straight before I quench it. And this is such a large blade that dunking it straight down is not really my go-to method. I'm gonna go ahead and edge quench this. That's something we weren't able to do in Forge and Fire. They got the straight bucket tanks, but I've got more of a trough setup here, and that'll definitely help provide a better quench. Make sure the edge isn't warped. I moved into this new shop a couple months ago, I haven't had time to fill my quench tank with oil. So I've actually been quenching out of that bucket back there. So I dumped everything I have in here and I've got it up on an angle. Should be enough oil for an edge quench. 10 minutes, 29 seconds left. Hopefully this goes well. Oh, she's nice and straight. You see that beautiful temper line from the edge quench coming right down to the ricasso here. That's gonna look really pretty if I end up etching this, and I might try to do that in round 2. Right now, I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up. I might have a couple minutes left. I'm gonna clean up, then I'll check the time. Get one more bit. 140. There we go. Feels good. What is that, 10, 12? So we started at about 7:12, 7:15, whatever it was. So there's our 3 hours, and there's our first round. I want to thank you all so much for watching. This was a ton of fun. It was a great workout, and I'm very excited about round 2. I'm stoked to get a handle on this and see how my pivot point works, and just to see how it feels in the hand. And I'm gonna be able to test this one myself. So that's pretty exciting. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.